From the Corner Office is brought to you by Synovus Bank, championing business growth through trusted, relationship-driven banking throughout the Gulf Coast region. A conversation with Forbes Riley is a high-energy, high-octane trip into the magical mind of someone who has sold $2.5 billion worth of products and infomercials over the past 25 years. And in this episode, Forbes shows us how she did all this with an interactive slideshow. Forbes is the kind of person who commands attention and the room, and she's the kind of leader the Business Observer loves to write about in print and online. For more, subscribe. Go to businessobserverfl.com. Hello and welcome to the Business Observer's From the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Forbes Riley, the queen of pitch and the St. Petersburg-based infomercial queen who also has a new book out, Pitch Secrets A to Z, How to Increase Your Influence, Impact, and Income. Forbes, welcome and thanks for being here.
Oh, it is so beautiful to see your face again. Last time I saw you, you're in my TV studio.
Yes, I'm excited to talk to you about Pitch Secrets, your career, all kinds of great things. And on that book, Pitch Secrets A to Z, I just learned that USA Today bestseller. Tell us about that book.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you a little bit about me. First of all, for the cool thing about this book feels like anything else. I made a book in 4-color. When's the last time you read a 4-color book? You haven't. And I don't know why people print it in black and white. I was happy to spend the extra money and make it look absolutely gorgeous because there's things in here that you don't know. That Kim Kardashian, that's how she started her career, right there. Or Montel Williams or Mario Lopez or Serena Williams is in this book. What? I'm like the least famous person in my own book. And then what's cool about the book, by the way, is you've seen me in your bedroom. You all have seen me in your bedroom for like 30 years, late at night, getting you to buy things you didn't even know you wanted. Well, here's a list of the 197 infomercials that I did in my career. And I thought, yeah, we should put this in a book because I didn't make a big deal about me or my name. I supported people like Jack LaLanne and Montel Williams and Billy Mays throughout their entire career. But along the way, between 197 infomercials and 35 years of live home shopping, well, get this, you have to sell between $2,000 and $5,000 a minute, every minute on air. I created literally, there's a word for every letter. And it starts with attitude, goes to belief, but then it goes to closing and demonstrating. I'm happy to pick a letter in a little bit because that's how you want to read the book. You can read it cover to cover, but you go, oh, wait, what's my word for today? And by the way, the other cool thing before I stop talking about my book, not that I love my book, is these Easter eggs. See those QR codes? QR codes all over the place that unlock a world. I built the world on a school community. Alex Hermosi built this platform where you can see where all the members are. We instantly in a week got 1,000 members. It's free for you guys to join. And there's 26 videos. There's other lessons. There's connections to make. There's a vibrant community and a leaderboard. I got to tell you, this is like Harry Potter. You come in here and you come out this side, and there's a whole world of making money, being connected, and building community thanks to my secrets.
The magic and the secrets. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to get to know you a little bit in a second. And you touched on this in the beginning of this book. It's pretty cool. You list all these people that you've done these infomercials with. And I want to start with, normally we start this podcast with some rapid fire questions. We're going to do name association with you. I'm going to say some of these people. You're like the Forrest Gump, right? Like you constantly have been around these amazing people, done these really cool things that just keep coming in and out of your life. So I'm going to say names.
Did you call me Forrest Gump? I'm just kidding. I love it.
It's totally a compliment. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, I'm
life
gonna
is like
say,
a box of chocolates. Yes, you never
yeah,
know what you're gonna get.
never
One of us is
forget.
not.
I'm gonna say names, and you tell me a quick line what your memory is about them.
Go.
All right, you touched on it. Jack LaLanne,
Hero, God on this planet, man who defined the word fitness. His wife just turned 100 years old, and I'm the luckiest woman in the world to have known him.
amazing. You mentioned her, Kim Kardashian, a young Kim Kardashian.
I gave her a start in television. She organized my closet. I did an infomercial with Bruce before I met Kim, and they brought me to the house, and there's a little Kendall and Kylie on a bed, and if I had known and could have predicted where this family was gonna go, but Kim is the nicest person on the planet, conscientious, hardworking, and I've got nothing but amazing things to say about her.
Awesome. Anthony Sullivan, local guy, Anthony Sullivan.
The British guy who did my spin gym. He helped
Yes.
me launch my fitness product here. He's absolutely insane, delightful, energetic, and one of the smartest minds you'll ever meet.
Yes. Another local guy who did a lot in that space, Billy Mays.
You know, for those of you who knew Billy or ever watched him on television, he was the quintessential pitch man. And he had an energy and a passion. And the thing I learned that I'll pass on to you is that no matter how famous he got, because you were walking through in airports all the time, he'd always put out his hand and go, "Hi, I'm Billy Mays. Damn glad to meet you." And he always made because people will walk up to me going, "Oh, Forbes, do you remember me?" And I'm like, I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. No, and now you put me in an awkward position. Billy made sure we never did that. By the way, another great tip when you're networking, because that's part of what I love doing, when you see somebody, Billy taught me this. Don't say, "Hi, nice to meet you." Say, "Hi, nice to see you." Because
Yes.
you may have seen them somewhere, and that may you make people feel much more special.
Yes. It's a great tip. Okay, last name association. This one's gonna mean a lot. Okay. McKenna Riley.
Oh. You know, 23 years ago, I gave birth to a set of twins. I needed a baby because I just lost both my parents and went through 9/11, and 9 of my friends died when the second building came down because we were in New York City. And this beautiful young girl at 8 years old walked into my company, and we were all working on a project, and none of us could figure it out, and she walked up and she pointed to something and said, "Why don't you do that?" We all looked at her. She ended up saving the company $48,000 with, "Why don't you do that?" She started this company with me called the Forbes Factor. We have 128,000 students, and her first TED Talk, I gotta tell you, you wanna know McKenna Riley. She's 23 now, she operates 2 multimillion-dollar businesses, and she's my favorite student.
Amazing. Amazing. And tell us about your son too. I feel bad because I'm going over these names and I'm like, I want you to talk about McKenna because she's so amazing in what she's done, but I feel like your son shouldn't be left out. And I don't know too much about him. Tell us about your son.
So his name is Riker Riley. Riker as in I'm a Star Trek freak and make it so number 1. I know, I don't look like a dork, but I am. I'm a kid who graduated college with 2 degrees in 3 years, weirdly smart and very lonely. I watched a lot of TV. Riker is if McKenna is my heart and engine, Riker is my head and logic. This kid he wrote, by the way, with me, the webinar that I've been doing for 6 years that's generates $1 million a month. He wrote that. He has a logic. I just spent this Sunday with him. He's managing school, he's going to Babson, and he runs an agency with over 500 clients, and all I get from people is, "I love your son, he listens to me, because we work with a lot of people because mom is 66 years old, who are in their 40s up to 80, and a lot of 60 to 80-year-olds like to whine, "I can't do technology." And this kid has put these people his whole agency puts people online, builds them landing pages, makes them feel that they can do websites, and gets their message out, and doesn't charge a lot for it, which is such a heart-centered the other thing that I'm proud of both my kids is I did a couple of things that I'm gonna share with all you. I'll have a book at some point called My Secrets of Parenting. I pitched my kids. My parents were Ukrainian immigrants, and they yelled a lot. "You don't clean your room, you're not ready to get dinner." I'm like, "Oh," so you're always like, "Oh my god, someone's gonna yell at me." I said to myself, because I was 42 when I had the babies, I said, "Let's not do that." So what would be the opposite of that? Would be to enroll them, to pitch them. So imagine this, you've got 2 little kids or whatever you want someone to do something, get them to say yes. This is my favorite word. Watch this. I'm gonna do a magic trick for you. You know how much I love magic.
Right.
Mark, do you wanna see something cool?
Yes. Do it.
How did I know you would say that? I know that. So if you know to ask the a question before you ask it, you're gonna get a much better answer, right? I would say to the kids, "What do you want?" Now, here's one of my big secrets. When you got an idea in your head or a new product or new whatever, you walk up to your friends and you "Oh my god, you need this. You need this new vitamin. You need" Stop telling people what they need. You don't buy what you need, you buy what you want. So what do 2 little kids want? "Hey guys, who wants a chocolate chip cookie after dinner?" I smell something in the oven." "Oh, mommy, yes, that's my first yes." "You want that?" "Yes." "My second yes." "And I'll play game with you after dinner, no phone." "Yes, yes, yes." All I needed to do is, you know what mommy wants? I want you to go upstairs, you get 15 minutes, clean that room spotless, and you get what you want. We are happy. I raised the kids that way their whole lives. They are best friends. They've been to over 40 countries on their own. I raised kids because I consciously raised kids. I'm grateful I didn't have in my 20s because I would have had no idea what to do. But I also used to raise dogs, and I'll tell you what, I could shoot my dog metaphorically with my finger, and he would do a little death scene and then go,
Right.
How did I do that? The same way you teach kids, the
Yeah.
same way you success in business. It's not necessarily what you were taught in school.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. So, and by the way, your kids are real underachievers. That's terrible. Wow. Okay, we're gonna talk about because you mentioned kids. We're gonna go to the back to the beginning. You overcame a lot in your childhood. Tell us about some of growing up and the different challenges and obstacles that you overcame.
Well, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, you see that? That would be my dad.
Yeah.
I grew up in Long Island in a very small house. My dad was a dreamer, he was an engineer, and he was a magician. And that's a really important thing to imagine. When I went to school, I had this crazy thing with my mouth. My teeth went in all different directions, and my mother was very agoraphobic. She stayed in the house. She was a bit of a hoarder. And so they did a mold of my mouth, and it looked a lot like that. Yeah, that scares small children, I know.
Yeah.
And you notice she saved it from 1968. I still have it. Why would you do that, right? So, as a little kid, they put me in braces, and a lot of people have red braces, right? Did you have braces?
I did not actually, but it's a longer story why I didn't. I was not a good kid. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I had a full set of braces, and then they screwed this thing into my mouth, and now I'm talking like this. And so, Mark, if you were my friend, you wouldn't wanna talk to me because I
Yeah.
couldn't talk for 2 years, 2 years like this.
2
This poor little
years.
can't communicate. And then I broke my nose at some point with a baseball bat, hit me in the face. I was overweight, I had frizzy hair, and voted least likely to do anything with my life besides maybe work in an office, okay? Well, but that wasn't good enough. I just knew I was made for more, and I think that's an important thing to understand. And then my dad, as if this wasn't bad enough, flips one day and he cuts off the whole front of his left hand. And now my beautiful dad's gonna spend 3 years in a hospital. They're gonna rebuild his entire hand. My entire high school, we're broke because he was our only breadwinner. And the crazy thing is my mom looked at me one day and said, "Kiddo, I know you're really smart, but we have no money for college. You don't have any scholarships. You've done nothing outside of school besides see your dad. But there's this beauty pageant coming to town called the Miss Teenage America pageant with Bob Hope, and they're gonna give away a scholarship." And she looked at my face and said, "That's not gonna work for us." Now, what's interesting about that is she didn't mean it to hurt me. She was protecting me, and I know that. But when she said this idea out loud, my dad's doctor offered to fix my nose, and a week later, I woke up and I looked like this girl, and something magical happened. That girl on the right looked in the mirror and said, "You're cute. You're like, well, my eyes got bigger. I don't know how it all happened, how it all came together." And I got a hand-me-down bridesmaid's dress, and I said, "You're gonna save your family." And the funny thing is, it was my dad's doctor who made all this happen because we spoke our belief out loud. I got on stage at the mall in Long Island with a hand-me-down dress, and you can see my face because I got crowned Miss Teenage New York. And I went on to the nationals. I mean, I'm 15 and a half years old, right?
Yeah.
And there I am with by the way, the best thing I ever did, which I call the Kim Kardashian syndrome, I took a freaking selfie with Bob Hope. I don't know how many other people thought to do that, and I mean, that's
You
50 years ago, right?
you were cool before cool, and for those who can't see, we're going through these pageant pictures, pretty amazing stuff, Forbes, what you did at that stage in your life.
Well, and it was so God driven. That's my mom. My mom was always overweight, which is one reason I ended up in the fitness industry because I loved that woman so much. She was the only one who really believed in me, but I didn't want to be her. And I decided to create what we now know as Forbes Riley, a woman who is confident, aggressive, gets what she wants, helps others, is of service. And I'll tell you what, that whole thing has completely changed my life. And I still love that word believe because that's just reminds me of my dad. And it's if my dad always talked about magic that was outside of our realm, like magical things. And for me, I've always looked for those signs. Life can be really crappy if you believe it, and can be really exciting in the same day if you believe it. And I've made an entire career out of what can you manifest? What can you build? And then this little touch of magic, okay? So the house, the number that I grew up in, the house address, you go, okay, it's got 3 numbers to it. You see it on the clock 2 times a day in the morning and at night. When I did my very first feature film, when I got out of college, I decided I was gonna be an actress. I starred in my first movie. The number of the classroom is the number of the house I grew up on. And I remember looking at that going, "It seems to be signs." I lost both my parents, and every time I see that number on the clock, I get this sense that I'm in the right place, that somebody's looking out for me, and I guess it's one of my favorite F words. I have a couple of favorite F words. One of them has got a C in it.
Right.
It's focus. Don't always like to do it, but the other is faith.
Yeah.
And believing in whatever it is that you choose to believe that there's something outside of us that is manipulable. And that sounds crazy. What
Yeah.
does that mean? Well, you have a dream. You can manifest that dream if you take actions, and you can achieve things just because you said so. And I've made an entire life out of doing just that and helping others just like you.
Amazing stuff. And you talked earlier about getting people, whether it was your kids or your career, to say to yes, what to get to yes. What's the psychology? What's the sort of secrets to the psychology behind getting people to say yes?
Okay, I teach this. Now, 2 things I wanna share with you. Every Sunday I go live, and guys, it's free. I've been doing free 2 hours every Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern for the last 6 years since COVID hit, and I love it. You can come and you can interact with me because I do teach my secrets, and I've got a whole lot of them. And then I have a training, a thing created called the Ultimate Pitch Formula. The Ultimate Pitch Formula does a couple of things. It stops you from sounding stupid, and I don't and
A good
I
thing.
love you
That's a
guys.
good thing.
Well, come on, I would go on home shopping, right, and we had to sell between $2 and $5,000 a minute every minute. You're on air. I figured out a system, and it worked. So getting the yes, one of the things that you wanna do is, 1, believe that there's no such thing as a perfect pitch. And how do I know that? Because if I'm pitching your wife, I'm gonna pitch different than I'm gonna pitch you, or your kid, or your grandparents. Most people pitch everybody the exact same way, and you will lose. The second thing is, I never talk about the product. You're like, "Wait, what?" Not until I need to. So, for example, I've got a fitness product here, and you guys can't see it, but it's a handheld fitness product that I created called Spin Gym. Now, I could stand here and say, "It does this, it weighs this much, it's made out of this, and I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame," and your response is, "Who cares?" So, Mark, here's what I do. Everybody, as you're home listening to me, pick up your right arm. Everybody pick up your right arm and
I'll pick
touch
up
the
my right
bottom of it.
arm.
Yeah, pick up touch the bottom of it. Is it a little wiggly jiggly, or is it kinda tight and hard in there, really? And most women, I will say, we get a little older, a little wiggly jiggly, some men, little wiggly jiggly. But if you don't love going to the gym, I've got a solution for you. Do you wanna know about it? Mark, do you?
I do, Forbes.
I got a yes. No, but that's exactly what I just did. I got you to
Yes.
say yes. I didn't even tell you what it is I'm gonna share with you, and all of a sudden, you're now psychologically going, "Okay, I'll take a look at it."
You're
The other
creating this
part
environment where people want to know more.
bingo! Want to know more.
Yeah.
The problem is when many of you're at a networking event, right? You meet somebody, they say, "What do you do?" Oh my god, you think it was the first time anyone ever asked you that question. "I
Right.
do so many things, let me tell you the law." Oh my god, nobody cares.
Right.
Here's the secret, guys. When somebody says, "What do you do?" they're really saying, "What can you do for me?" Oh, well, then I would talk to you differently. So if I was doing my fitness product, I wouldn't say, "Hey, Mark, you wanna get fitter?" That's a stupid no, nobody wants to get fitter. But I'm gonna say to you, "Hey, summer's coming. We're all gonna take our shirts off again, right? Tank tops, bathing suits. If you wanna look better than you look right now, have your spouse be really proud of you, walk a little taller, I've got a solution. Do you wanna know about it?" And then the answer is yes. And the more now you're we call that, by the way, in the book, letter O is for open door. And I'm gonna promise you, Mark, most people don't think as psychologically wacko as I do. I have died, and that's what you do when you're a magician, by the way. You are gonna do a trick, but at the end of the trick, you want someone to go, "Wow, that was amazing." Well, how do you get to amazing? There's a road.
Right.
That's how you get to a sale.
It's begin with the end in mind, right? Like you're putting them in that which comes up a couple times on this podcast. You're putting them in that mode. I love this. All right, we're gonna go off script here because these questions don't matter anymore. I want to go back to the book. Let's pick a letter and you're gonna tell us about that. Let's do F for Forbes, but let's start with F. Tell us what is
Alright,
F and why is that important?
so F stands for Forbes to it. You know what Forbes it means? It means to manifest something, especially when no one else thinks it's possible. Mark, did everybody in school think you should be a star broadcaster and journalist? No. They probably put you down a little bit. What did they say to you?
Nothing. Just floating through high school. So I didn't have
Right.
most likely or least likely anything. I just kind of floated through.
Right. So at some point you make, I want to do this.
Yes.
Maybe I want to have a family. That's a decision that you make. And you're like, well, I don't know anybody. Well, guess what? How do you Forbes it? So Forbesing it, one takes into consideration in here that there are certain fears that you might have in life, right? So how do you identify it? One, you identify what the fear is, because we all have a crazy fear about things. I'm going to do an event. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to write a book. Okay. There's definitely some level of, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? So then I want you to define the dream and become very artistic about it. I promise those whole thing about vision boards work. Then you fully commit. So I have a very fun thing to share with you. Next week, when you go to the grocery store, I think that week, like June, whatever, I'm on the cover of Women's World. Now, I've been shopping since I was a baby, right? And I've always looked at Women's World, and I said to my publicist this time, I said, I want to be on the cover of that. That was ago, and they were like, "Mm, they only put actresses on." Like, I wanna be on the cover. That's all I said, and this week I'm on the cover. Now, the truth is I never said it before, I only said it in my own head, but I got very fully committed. What does it take to be on the cover? Well, I shared my weight loss story because 2 years ago, I was in a very bad, car accident, and out of that accident, the PTSD made me kinda crazy, and my husband's a professional bodybuilder. There was a there was a bodybuilding competition for the first time here in St. Petersburg. I was the heaviest I've been since I was pregnant. Now, none of that adds up to I'm gonna strut on stage in a bikini and get a medal, right? But something just said, "Go for it." And this is a crazy story of Forbesing something, because it was last year, and I looked at the schedule, it's 99 days, and I looked at my body, I took a picture of it, and I'm like, "Wow, baby girl, you're a little fluffy. I don't want you to end your life like this. You promised yourself you were not gonna look like your mom." And so I said, "I should enter that competition with my husband." Now, my husband has 9% body fat at this moment. I have 33% body
Alright, it's a
fat.
little different. Yeah.
And you know what I did? I flipped a switch. I fully committed like I say in the book, and I told my mastermind, I told 200 people that I was gonna be in a bodybuilding competition in 99 days. I hung up the phone and thought, "Oh my god, what did I do?" And then I said, Forbes, you got this." I didn't even know how to do it, by the way. Here's the funny thing, my husband wouldn't train me at all. He was busy doing his own thing. I went to YouTube. I didn't hire a trainer because they were intimidating to me, and I'm like, "I have to just do this." And I took my husband's fitness weightlifting program on my own, 2 hours every morning that, by the way, before the accident, he would ask me to go to the gym every day, and I would always say the same thing, "I don't have time." Did you know there's a time on the clock that's called 5 AM? It's before other people get up. When you're crazy enough to belong to a 24-hour gym, those guys are waiting for you at 5 AM, and I did that for 99 days, and then I did a little Facebook Live because every once in a while, I didn't wanna be there, and I'm sitting here in my car crying going, "This is really hard, I don't wanna do this," and then people would go, "We got you, you can do this, come on, Forbes, you promised you were gonna do it," and I would go, "Okay," and I'd go do 2 hours, and then I would eat chicken, steak, fish, eggs, and a little cottage cheese, and people say, "Well, Forbes, did you drink any wine?" I'm like, "No, I wined a lot, but I know you can't drink wine, you can't eat sugar." But here's the cool thing, you could do anything for 99 days if you decide. So I call it flipping a switch. I wouldn't listen to anybody, there was no other food I didn't even eat vegetables for a while because I couldn't be in the kitchen. I'm like, "Just give me my piece of meat and let me sit over here, I don't wanna look at anything." And I did, and I got not 1 medal, I entered 3 competitions. I entered the Arnold Classic and got a medal. And I did all of that, and now I'm on the cover of Women's World.
Yeah. Alright, so Women's World, we gotta check that out. So you Forbesed it for F. Let's do one more letter. What's I don't know, there's 26 obviously, but what's a favorite one? Give us another letter.
No, you pick it, I got lots of favorites, I'm gonna
Alright,
see.
we're gonna do R for my amazing podcast partner and producer, Reed Corley. Alright,
Oh,
give us an R.
I didn't think to put Ray's name in the book, I didn't know him,
He'll
but
be in the
now that
next book.
haha, alright, so PQR is for research. How you do research, the funny thing happened in the world of research. One of the things that I recommend when you are building an online business, and by the way, now that you've got Chat and Claude, your research is unbelievable. I can go to any city anywhere in the world, I've done this with my daughter, with just a credit card and our cell phones. And we have booked hotels for discounted prices. We've eaten at the most amazing restaurants because of research and understanding how to do that, how to read reviews, how to understand what you're looking for. But then, if you're going to take your business online, and all of you should, because online is where everything is at. How do you start? Here's my big secret, don't tell anybody. Buy your competition. What does that mean?
Buy your
Well,
competition.
so Mark, you've got a podcast, right? Who's the most famous podcaster whose seat you'd like to be sitting in? That
Like
you like?
like, I gotta think about that. There's a couple of good ones.
Look, just
Um,
pick one, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you why. So pick somebody.
uh, pick somebody, Dax Shepard.
Okay, so Dax got a little bit of an advantage, but so do the research. I've never heard of Dax Shepard. Well, in fact, when you do the research, you find out he's married to a very famous actress, he's been on television himself,
Right.
and research. And then you go, "Well, could I compete with him?" Well, the answer is no, because he's got a level of celebrity, and he's not a digital marketer. I would pick somebody like maybe a Gary Vee or a Lewis Howes, who I've known forever, School
Yeah.
of Great,
Alright, better examples.
and I would do the research. I would go to them going, "Wait, how do they monetize their podcast? Because I'm not making any money on mine. Have they written a book? Do they have a community? Are they on School or Circle or any," and you opt in for their mailing list. And all of a sudden, they're gonna start sending you what you could be doing. Then when you buy something from them, they will then send you an email sequence because I have a lot of people go, "How do I start?" Buy your competition. Buy somebody whose seat you'd like to be in. For me, Mel Robbins. I love Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins wrote a whole bunch of books. She did a TED Talk. I remember thinking, "I need a TED Talk." I'm doing my 3rd TEDx talk, by the way, on July 4th because I realized TED Talks for me and what I do make a big difference. By the way, not easy to get, took me 7 years to get my first one. And so, well, it's a bit of a funny story. I love this word pitch, and if you can tell, I come with a lot of energy. I haven't had my coffee yet, which is ironic because this is how I'm wired. When I have a
You
chance to
haven't had your coffee yet, as we're talking here at 10:29 AM. You have not had your coffee.
no,
I
I'll
mean,
have it at 11. I like to fast in the morning, and I don't need it. Look how energetic. I have a big glass
yes.
of water, and I'm ready to go. And this energy comes from somebody says, "Are you always like that?" No. You unplug me, and I can watch a Netflix series for days. But when I'm educating, I live by a principle of the 3 E's. Excite, which means I'm not gonna come on here and go, "Hi, Mark, nice to see you. Let's talk about my book." People do that. They're boring as shit. Don't do that. So, E, then you wanna be engaging. I can it's phony. I can see your producer's face in the corner of my screen, so every time he raises his eyebrows or smiles, I'm like, "Oh, I must be landing." It's really good. That's
Yeah,
what I love about
it's a
Zoom.
great barometer.
I love that. And then the 3rd is enrolling. So the second one is engaging. So let me ask you, as you're listening to me in your audience, do you feel like I'm talking to you? Do you feel like
100%.
I'm dropping nuggets just for you in your ears?
Yes.
Well, that's the secret to be engaging. I'm not talking at you. My goal, my job, and my response to you going, "Would you be on my podcast?" is going, "Look, I know that you're a really brilliant journalist and entrepreneur. You probably attract people like you, and I wanna uplift you guys because I don't think like other people." And then 3rd part, the 3rd E is enrolling, and this is where many of you fall short. You don't ask for the sale, don't ask for the close, and pitching, by the way, get this, pitching is not selling. So when you sell something, you got a quota. Yeah, it's very masculine energy. I'm gonna get you into that car. You're gonna buy that outfit. You look good in it even when you don't. When you pitch, you provide a solution to somebody's problem. There's a very big difference. And it doesn't always have to be financial, but often it is. And then the next thing is when you are selling, you're very hard. When the transaction's over, you're done. Not with me. When I pitch, I live by the 4 R's. I build rapport. I want to build a relationship. Then I want to have repeat business, and then I want to get free stuff from you. That's called a referral. If you love what we've done here and I provided a solution for you, you're going to refer me to somebody else. And I didn't have to pay for that new lead, which, by the way, is chapter L.
Love it. All right, the 4 R's, 3 is so much good stuff. Forbes, one last question. We're here in the summer 2026. What's next for you? What are you looking forward to the most the rest of 2026?
Well, it's a very funny because I'm about to get on a plane to go to Colorado, Louisville, um, Dallas, and Miami. What I'm looking for right now and looking forward to is the unbelievable success of my book. So, guys, just to be very clear, I've written 5 or 6 books that are still sitting in a drawer because people told me things and I got intimidated and I didn't. And I've only up until this point done compilation books with other people. This thing took me 5 years to write. And you talked about McKenna Riley at the beginning of this. If that little girl didn't push her mom over the edge to get this finished, it would still be sitting on my desk like many of you have that. And I set a date, and she almost threatened me. She's like, "Mom, I won't work with you anymore if you just don't finish this. You keep talking about it." And I did it. And you know what's funny? And I knew it would be like this, Mark. People love it. And they're embracing it. And it's got a life of its own. And I come on, and people are like, "Oh my God, I got your book." I go to book signings, and there's lines around the block. And what did I wait for? So I've got another book coming out called Pitch Secrets for Network Marketers. That would be my alarm going, "You gotta go." Pitch and then I've got another one, I can't give you the title of this, but it's a book that I've been working on my whole life. And it's a very important book. This made USA Today. The next book's gonna make New York Times because it's a concept that I seem to see that none of you see. I don't know why. Kind of like tipping point or blink or lean in or let them. Those are all really cool concepts. I've been living by a concept my whole life, and I've talked to people and they don't seem to even know what I'm talking about. Principle for success that's undeniable, and I think people are gonna love this book. I cannot wait for that one to happen.
It's a great way to end because show business always leave them wanting more, right, Forbes? I love it. Forbes Riley, author of Pitch Secrets A to Z, How to Increase Your Influence, Impact, and Income, a USA Today bestseller. Thank you so much for joining us on From the Corner Office.
You make me want to talk to you. You're just great.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer from the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordon. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.